Men are not taking enough action nowadays, and they're not being proactive enough. What kind of the Western world and the schooling society has taught men is that inside of the classroom, you need to raise your hand and you need to wait to be called on. They take that kind of passive behavior and they bring it into the relationship. And when the woman is screaming for the man to be masculine, for the man to take lead, for the man to take action, they're still sitting with their hand raised and waiting to take action. My biggest heartbreak came at the hands of me breaking other people's hearts because I didn't understand the power that I had. How many people did I have sex with that I actually truly enjoyed and I could call today and have an emotional conversation with, not in a sexual sense, but just like, hey, I'm so thankful that we were alive at the same time and we got to share the memories that we do.
People listen more to the rejection than they do the ones who have accepted them. Welcome to One Story Psychology, where we're going to break down the mind of a man within relationships in women. This is a super interesting topic because a man and a woman have different types of mindsets. And here's the interesting piece, is that their minds are created and developed based on different experiences and different pasts that they have gone through. So I'm here with Tristan. Great to see you.
Pleasure to be here, man. I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this, not specifically only with dating, but with humans in general. But this topic will apply to dating because humans can be living so much in their past and they don't even know it. And this is what is heavily affecting relationships, marriages, and even the potential that men and women really have. But it's blocked off and they don't see that. So I think my first question to you is, what is the biggest barrier that you see that men are struggling with in the dating world? Aside from approaches, aside from what they're saying, what do you see? What do you think that the cause is of what holds them back? Aside from the script, because there's a reason behind a reason behind a reason.
There's a lot of things that go into that. So it depends on what stage of the relationship you would be referring to. If it's like the approaching stage, it would be, the fear of rejection or the fear of being judged by others. If we're talking a little bit into the beginning of the relationship where connection has been established, then it's the fear of taking lead and being the man that they need to be inside of the relationship for it to really blossom. As you said before, men and women have different experiences, different observances, different life paths that lead them to the place where they are when they get to the relationship. And what kind of the Western world and the schooling society has taught men is that inside of the classroom, you need to raise your hand and you need to wait to be called on. And what happens is while you're waiting to be called on, if you ever get called on, the real world is spinning around you. And what happens for a lot of men is that they take that kind of passive behavior and they bring it into the relationship. And when the woman is screaming for the man to be masculine, for the man to take lead, for the man to take action, they're still sitting with their hand raised and waiting to take action until something breaks or something, goes past the point of okay, whatever their baseline normalcy is. And then that's when they'll act. But they keep reverting back to that pattern of waiting for something to break and then fixing it instead of having a proactive mindset where, have you heard the quote? It's an ounce of preventative is worth a pound of cure. It's like if you were the best way to heal a snake bite is to never get bitten by the snake in the first place.
Yeah.
And a lot of men will wait till they get bit by the snake to then, take the snake out of the room. When in reality, the people that win in life are the ones that are most proactive, the ones that they see actions to be done and they don't wait. And women, if you think about women as their frame and the man as the masculine frame, it's kind of like the man is the canvas. They're the borders of the painting, and then the women are the paint themselves. But the men are asking the women to be the canvas and the paint, and the women are waiting for that strong structure to be given. So the big problem at the beginning of a relationship, and it goes all the way through to different stages, but it's not enough leading. In the world, women, if you think about women kind of like spiders, you look at a black widow, it's beautiful, it's majestic, but it's also very dangerous. And men look at that black widow and they think, oh, it could hurt me. I'm so scared of it. Like I better not do anything to try and jostle the black widow. But the black widow in return is looking at that man terrified, petrified. When in reality, the spider is so much more afraid of the man. The man just needs to do the right actions and have trust in his intuition, which has been beaten out of him by the schooling system and actually just move forward with confidence. And if he moves forward with confidence, he's not going to get bitten by the spider. He's actually going to have a great relationship with the spider, woman being the spider. But with that being said, yeah, men are not taking enough action nowadays, and they're not being proactive enough.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember in school, it's like, raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, you're getting called out to go outside. And so I think it's created this like, okay, follow the rules, follow the rules, follow the rules. And it's not saying to not follow the rules. It's just, I think once you're at that point and you're now in your own world, you have to take your own action, right? You're not going to be directed and saying, hey, today is your day. You have to go up to a woman. You want to be in a relationship? Okay, you should go up to a woman today. Now, obviously, you can get a coach for that.
Right.
But if you want to achieve a goal, you got to take your own action. Mm-hmm. So I think, why do you think that the rejection rate from men is growing, or is it growing, or am I just in my head about that?
No, it's absolutely growing. So with the advent and the adaptation of dating apps and social distancing, COVID, I really believe it was a plan from the top to separate men and women from a unified union. Like, if you wanted to take over society, if you look at society as a big mass conglomerate, society is made up of a country, and a country is made up of states. States are made up of cities or counties. Counties are made up of cities. Cities are made up of streets. Streets are made up of homes, and homes are made up of individual families. So if you wanted to corrupt it at the top, you need to attack the very base. And what's happening for a lot of men, they have the fear of being a leader because they got called out, like, hey, I'm going to take action without raising my hand. No, you can't do that, Johnny. Don't do that. You're going to get in trouble for doing that. And then that breeds a complacency of like, okay, well, I'm not going to take action on approaching a woman because I need to have some sort of verification or validation from that woman before I make any move. That's what the swipe feature is.
Yeah.
You can't talk to the woman unless she swipes you back. And there's always that preconceived notion of like, oh, she likes me. Okay, now I can, my hand was called on. Quite literally, my hand was called on.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's just so interesting. I mean, like, the success rate of dating apps I've seen maybe 2 successful marriages through dating apps. That's it. And I know from what I've heard, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that the algorithms of those dating apps are designed not to help you find a marriage, but help you find a woman who you're attracted to, but not going to be a marriage because you'd go off the app. Mm-hmm. So do you think that men are spending more time? Do you think people are spending more time on the apps, or do you think that people are slowly kind of fading off of social media and dating apps to become more social in general?
I think they're fading off of the dating apps because they're not getting results. Like,
yeah.
People get on dating apps because they want to find somebody, whether it be long-term, short-term, whatever it is, they're going there for a solution to their problems, which is loneliness, which is a feeling of wanting connection, which is X, Y, and Z. But the way that I kind of look at the dating apps is like a casino. They give you a little win. They get you just enough to get hooked. They give you like a $100 jackpot. Oh, you got us. Oh, darn. Oh, you got one hookup. You got 2 hookups. And it's quite literally, the job of the dating app is not for you to meet people. The job of the dating app is for you to take out your credit card and pay money to them. So if you were to find a happy marriage or a committed partner or something along the lines of that, like you said, you'd be taking money off of the app. They could use you as a testimonial, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But it's much like the casino aspect where, some people hit it big and then they go crazy. And like, some guys are at the top of the leaderboards when it comes to the dating apps. But for the average man, and I would consider you and I average man inside of the world of dating apps, where we're not, on private jets and doing all these like extravagant things to show to the woman that we have the resources to be able to take care of them. We get left in the dust.
Yeah.
As somebody who has 1 million followers, somebody that has extreme confidence in cold approach and dating, as somebody that understands the algorithm pretty well on dating apps, I don't get results on dating. I don't get any meaningful results in dating apps. So the way that I look at it is like, if I'm already kind of ranking towards the top of confidence, I can't imagine a much more kind of level playing field for an average American, average North American, average kind of European man.
Yeah.
Where he's a decent enough looking guy, has a little bit of social skills, but if he's only relying on dating apps, it's a doomed battle. It's they want your money. They don't want you to be successful in your dating career. They want you to go on dates. They want you to come back to the app. It's a dopamine receptive loop.
Yeah.
Oh, got a match. Oh, we got a dinner. Okay, let me go back on the app and do it again and do it again and do it again. And I remember when I was in college, before I really started doing my approach journey, I woke up one morning and I knew that I was addicted to Tinder
Mm.
because it was the last thing that I did before I went to bed, swipe. And the first thing that I reached for my phone when I opened my eyes, swipe. And I was like, wow, okay, this is an addiction. I told myself that. And I was maybe 21 at the time, 22.
Wow.
And I was able to start to wean myself off of it. But it wasn't like the next day, oh, yeah, I'm addicted to Tinder. Let me get off of it. It was like, wow, okay, this has become more of an issue than I had realized before.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. I mean, so the apartment that I lived at in Austin for probably like 7 years, the founder of Bumble lived there,
Oh, wow.
and she was making it while she lived at the apartment. And she started in her apartment room, and then it started kind of growing. So she rented another apartment room, and then another, and then another. And eventually she rented the entire floor. And now she's obviously, I think, a billionaire. I think something
Yeah,
like
Bumble
that.
Bumble reached a billion dollar evaluation.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. But I'm curious to know your thoughts of like status versus like actual confidence. And I say this because I've been in the influencer world for almost 10 years, and I've seen people, especially in my space, who they have to flaunt to get views. They have to
Mm-hmm.
flaunt to build trust. They have to flaunt to get a sale. And this is how and why scams are continually happening in the world of coaching specifically, is because they're brainwashing people to say, look, I'm up here and you're down here. And if you want to come be like me, you've got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how they use this to sell people. And so what I have seen is like, I know girls, I know guys who do this exact approach for dating or for getting connected and going out as a group and like stuff like this. And it's so hard for me to look at because I don't think that they understand the psychology behind what's actually happening, about how this guy has to show and flaunt his success in order for this girl to then suddenly approve him. And now they like each other.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just like fake love that's there. And so then now what happens is that this pool of guys who are flaunting their successful life, whatever, these other guys are like, well, I want to be like that too. Because, oh, is that what I have to do to have these girls like me? But it doesn't work. It doesn't work, at least for long term, from what I've seen. So I'm curious on your thoughts. Like, why is this growing? What are your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, so there's two people I'm going to quote on this. The first is Alex Becker. You're familiar with
Yeah,
Alex
yeah,
Becker?
of course.
Fantastic entrepreneur.
He lives in Austin.
Yeah,
He lives at the building right. It was right next to my apartment.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Solid guy.
Yeah.
Solid guy. But he says, because we no longer live in a social media age, we live in an interest media age. So the algorithm is no longer who you follow. It's what are your current interests and what's going to keep you on the app the longest. Same with dating, same with Instagram, same with Bumble, all across the board. It's like, how can we keep the person on the app the longest? Because the longer they stay on the app, the more data we have, the more things that we can sell them. Capitalism. So Alex Becker speaks about this. It's like when you come into the social media age where, you have to flaunt to get attention and get recognition. It's like your unique mechanism for gaining attention is the 18-year-old girl that just turned 18 and she just got her ticket to go to the club and all the promoters love her and everybody's, oh my God, we love her so much, this 18-year-old girl. And then what happens is, months are years in social media. So a couple months go by, and the 18-year-old girl turns into a 25-year-old girl. Still sexy, still attractive, but now she has to do more and more and more to keep that same level of attention that she had when she was 18, when she was the fresh, hot new thing. And what happens after that is 25 turns into 30, and then people stop calling so much, and then 30 turns into 35. And then before you know it, she has to do something crazy, outlandish, or extravagant to get the same amount of attention that she did just months prior, years to months. And what happens is, take a look at, you remember Kim Kardashian and Ray J when they dropped their sex tape?
Oh, yeah.
It was oh my God, they have a video of them having sex. It's the craziest thing in the world. And now you can't go and swipe on your stories on Instagram without seeing just titties in your face, ass in your face, because we become so desensitized to it. It's like, okay, well, they got attention making sex on. Well, we got to do anal. We got to hang from a rope upside down and have sex in front of the New York State building.
It's getting crazy. It's getting out of whack, dude.
We've just, the dopamine receptors become null after a while. It's like, I've seen them do that already. Seen them do that already. And to speak on the second part of that, there's another great entrepreneur named Chase Hero. Are you familiar with
I don't
Chase?
think so.
He's a big ecom guy, made
Okay.
multiple hundred M's in ecom, and I watched him speak at a speaking event in 2019, I believe, right, 2018 probably, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a funny phenomenon. If you're a man that leads with your money and your whole value is based around your money, what happens when you lose your business?
Hmm.
Do you stop being the man that you're supposed to be? You stop being the person that you internally look at, and you have to ask yourself, well, what are my values? What are my
Yeah.
morals? What do I value? And what we see a lot of the times is like, okay, that guy has status, this girl has status, we're both moderately attractive, our values and our morals don't necessarily need to align, but it's a socially approved relationship.
Hmm.
Society says, okay, we are two people with similar value. Let's get together. Let's be happy. Let's make a family. Let's show the world our happy relationship, and let's make it forward. But if you look at, I mean, the divorce rate is over 50% in the United States, and those are the marriages that end in
Hmm.
divorce. And you and I both know people that are in relationships, long term, either marriage or just boyfriend and girlfriend, that the relationship should have ended a long time ago, but they stay together because it's socially approved for them to stay together. And what happens is it's kind of like the golden handcuffs, where you reach a certain income or you reach a certain level of status or you reach a certain level of relationship, and you have to do all of the things that you can do in your 24 hours to be able to maintain that relationship just to keep it
Hmm.
afloat. It's the same thing when people increase their income. They increase their spending habits. They increase their living situation. And then before you know it, they can't lose their job. They can't leave their job because they have a car payment, they have a house payment, the kids have private school and all these things. It's the same phenomenon of like, oh, got to this level, gotta stay at this level, cannot back down at this level. I'd be much happier at a level below. I'd be with somebody that actually understands me and appreciates me as a human being, not just what I can provide, but what I can give to them in terms of like a non-monetary sense or non-status sense. And where society sometimes gets lost is like we sacrifice long-term stability for short-term gratification and keeping up with the Joneses. And it's not just a
Hmm.
monetary phenomenon, it's a relationship phenomenon as well.
Do you think it's because like the men, they don't truly love themselves? Like what do you think causes that? And I say this because I'll give you an example. I was here 2 months ago. I met this guy. He came up to me and he actually is part of like an OnlyFans agency, but he didn't want to verbally say that.
Yep, marketing.
And I knew 100% what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he then, so I could tell his energy was so stressed out. Like I could literally read it a mile away. And he immediately went into how successful he is. He went into his car he owns. He went into what his crib in, this city
Yeah.
looks like. And it just kept going and it kept going and it kept going. But I could just really tell deep down, oh, he was like, I was up till 3 a.m. and I woke up at 5 and I'm just like grinding hard. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, that's amazing. Like, that's amazing. And like, he wanted that. And I could just tell that he knew deep down that what he's doing for a living is not right.
Yep.
And he doesn't love it. And he needs to continue this on to keep getting approval. And he's like, I got contacts for any woman that you possibly want. I'm like, brother, that's awesome. Like, I don't need the contacts of
Uh-huh.
these women. Like, I think it's great, but like, yeah, that's not my objective, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like, do you think that men are struggling to love themselves, or like, how do you think that a man should work in order to love himself?
Well, one of my big cornerstones of my coaching program is reflection. And reflection comes in a lot of different forms: meditation, journaling, reading. Those are the
Hmm.
big three. Working out, you get to reflect on the body that you had before and the body that you have now. And what a lot of men don't do is they don't reflect.
Mm.
And they get sold a bill of goods. And they say, society says, you need the car to be loved. If you don't have the car, sorry. Oh, it's a 2023, it's a 2025. You're now worth 2 years less
Hmm.
of love, quite literally. And to speak on the OnlyFans manager, to me, I used to diddle around with the OnlyFans agencies and OnlyFans itself, and it's a soulless business.
Hmm.
And what you saw with that person is somebody that is living out of accordance with what their internal values stand for. And for me, personally, one of my big stances is I don't want men to spend money on OnlyFans. I want them to go outside and meet women face to face. If she happens to be an OnlyFans model and that's her line of business, hey, that's between her customers. That's not that. What made OnlyFans very popular was, like, why would I pay for OnlyFans? Well, you can't message the artist or the porn model on Pornhub. Like, you only leave a comment, and you look like a weirdo if you leave a comment. But with OnlyFans, you have an emotional connection with the woman. And with, COVID, with the dating apps, with the separation of the ability to start conversation and connect with people on a face-to-face level, they had to find a way to circumvent that, to supplement that. And that became OnlyFans. That's how, multiple billions of dollars are generated every single year from the platform. It's because men are lonely and they haven't reflected on why they're lonely. And the reason that they're lonely is because they got sold a bill of goods. You need the car. You need the house. You don't have value unless you own these things. When in reality, I truly think that men were a lot happier before social media was such a standpoint for everybody. Like, I don't know anybody personally that doesn't spend at least 5 minutes a day scrolling. Let's call it that. It's a habit. If you do something every single day, and you do it at similar times, and you do it in similar stressful situations, or you have similar triggers, it's a habit. So if you habitually go to this platform, or you habitually scroll and you habitually see people that are habitually living a better life than you, you start to question, because you don't have any other methods of reflection, why am I not happy? Oh, I don't have the girl. Oh, I don't have the car. Oh, this guy's happy because he has these things. Well, let me go do those things. And they never reflect, like, do I actually want those things? Is it actually going to provide me value? Is that something that's actually sustainable for the life that I want to live? And the difference between wealthy people and poor people is the amount of time that they spend thinking about the future. Poor people are thinking about the next hour. They're thinking about the next day, the next 24. Wealthy people are thinking about the next decade. How can the next generation, the next, 3 generations, how far ahead can they think? And when you take a step back, and that's what meditation, journaling, and reading does, it allows you to calm that mind, calm that voice inside of your mind that says, I need. And then it's like, well, what do I actually want? Who do I actually want to be? What values do I actually stand for? And for anybody watching this right now, OnlyFans management is essentially a scam. And I mean that with all sincerity in my heart, but all seriousness in my heart. What you're selling to that man that's on the other side of the OnlyFans subscription is a connection with a model. And what happens with these OnlyFans managers, they hire talent from the Philippines or Vietnam or somewhere in the Southeast in Colombia, and they pay these people $3 an hour, $5 an hour, plus a percentage of commission. So that person that you're conversating with, that person that you're purchasing content from, it might look like the model, but you're really having a conversation with Putra or Jimmy from the Philippines.
It's insane.
And it's a scam. Call it what it is. Call a snake a snake.
It's crazy. I've spent a day with an OnlyFans star. Like, I shot a video of, like, day in the life of an OnlyFans star, because I was, like, psychologically just really curious to see, like, what is going through their mind. Like, how do they truly feel about their own selves? I go there. It's downtown Miami, $10,000 a month crib with a 360 view of the whole ocean. And it was in her closet was literally worth $200,000. And I was able to see behind the scenes of exactly what you had just said, of the guys and what they're sending and all these messages. And then exactly what you said, their assistants, assistants that go on there, and they're the ones responding, and they're not even interacting.
Nope.
And it becomes so easy for them to stick to that because it's quick. It's like, I can get a hot girl messaging me tonight. Done. That's easy. Right. But, like, going out is different. So I want to go to a topic within relationships in today's world of beliefs. Okay. And I say this because there has been growth of religion.
Yeah.
And there has been, from what I have seen, there has been more people who have decided if they love somebody based on if they believe in the same thing as them. So I'm going to give you an example. There has been times in which there are people who will say, if you're a Christian, that means we are 100% a fit. If you're not, it means that we're not a fit at all. But they don't even know who the person actually is. And I have seen situations where they have said, oh, we're not a fit because you're not a Christian. Yet in reality, they actually are a perfect fit. But then they've gone with somebody who is a Christian, but they're not a perfect fit. And so one of my best friends is actually, he grew up in a Hindu culture. He lives in India, and he's now dating a Christian girl. and they're in love. Like they're going to get married and it's going to be an incredible story. And I think it's so awesome to see because they're not basing whether they're a connecting couple or if they're a fit for each other based on, oh, what's your religious belief or what's your political belief. They're doing it based on like, okay, who are you actually? And so they're overriding the fact that our emotions connect, our mind connects, our body and our soul connects. Oh, okay, well, does our religious beliefs connect? Not necessarily, but that's not going to overwrite us as human beings. So, like, have you seen, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, for somebody to go date somebody, do they have to have the same political, religious, whatever diet viewpoints, or is that not a big deal, or half and half?
That's a great question. It's really user dependent. I'll go ahead and say that. What religion is essentially kind of like a North Star for your GPS, and it allows you to have a baseline fundamental script kind of for the
Mm-hmm.
actions when stuff gets hard.
Yeah.
And whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is, it's a partner. And what a lot of people will do is they'll think, okay, I have this person, say religion is 30% of what your belief system is, depending, ranges from there. Say it's like 30%, and the other 70% are your experiences, your observances, how you see the world. What people will say is, okay, that 30% will override the 70%. I'll be with somebody just because we believe in the same religion, but realistically, at the end of the day, it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Because we could be reading from the same book, but have completely different ideas of the story that's happening.
Mm.
But because I think social pressure is a huge thing, and coming back to the part of reflection, it's like not understanding why you're attracted to something, not understanding why you're attracted to this person, not understanding why you're attracted to this ideology. It's kind of just something that's given to you. Those people are, I want to say doomed, but they're going to have a harder time finding a partner because they're looking to fill their cup 100%
Mm-hmm.
with somebody that really only satisfies 30% of their needs. And maybe those 30% of needs are more important than the rest of the cup. I'm not here to say left or right, but what I found is if instead of a man making a list of the dream woman that he absolutely wants and desires and she needs to check all these boxes, it's better to reverse engineer who's somebody that I could never see my life with.
Mm-hmm.
Who is somebody that I could not spend time with on any of these facets, and then use that as a disqualification metric. It's like if she holds these negative things, instead of trying to focus on, I need to have my cup 100% filled, focus on like, is this person going to be a good partner with me to get through this thing that we call life together? Do they make me feel good about myself? Can I see myself enjoying my time with them? And for me personally, sex has become what was once the number one priority for me. Am I sexually attracted to this person? It's not like fourth or fifth down the line. Mm-hmm. It's like, can I trust this person? Are they honest with me? If I leave money around, are they going to take it? Like there's, and religion helps kind of answer some of those questions, but it doesn't answer all of the questions. Mm-hmm. Can I have an emotional conversation with this person? Yes, like, oh my goodness, my mom used to be religious, Baptist Christian, but I felt like I couldn't express my emotions to her sometimes because of the fear of backlash.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't want that for a partner. Like I want to be able to express myself and to be able to use open vocabulary and terminologies that are convenient to me to express how I'm feeling. And I want to always consider that person in the words that I'm saying. But if I was basing just off of religion and not necessarily on like communication styles and, you know, love languages, are we compatible in these different ways? If I was only using religion, then I'd be kind of guiding my GPS on a 30% map. And
yeah,
you might get lucky. You'd end up at your destination. But what I find in the universe is if I say that I'm hungry, there's 1 million restaurants. If I say I want McDonald's, there's 500,000 restaurants. If I say I want McDonald's in Austin, Texas, 500 restaurants. If I say I want McDonald's in Austin, Texas in this specific part, there's 3 restaurants. But if I want McDonald's in Austin, Texas on this street, well, then I could put in a GPS and actually try and get there. And maybe I'll get sidetracked and I'll choose something else on the way there, but at least I have a destination that I'm trying to go to.
Yeah. Do you know what type of woman do you want? Like, what is your, do you have, I say this too, because some people are saying have an entire checklist, complete A to Z, or is yours kind of more, well, I want her emotionally stable. I want her to have this lifestyle, or like, is it a balance between that, or like, what's your kind of measure on that?
One big thing that, because men and women commit differently. Women commit with surrender. Like, okay. When a woman commits, she surrenders to the masculine frame of the man and kind of goes along with his program. When a man commits, he cuts off other options. He says, I'm going to commit to you and choose you as my person in a traditional sense. We have different polygamy and whatnot. Even it's just an extension of that ultimately. For me personally, what I find is a really big driving factor for, am I going to choose this person to be my person or one of my people that I'm going to invest an insane amount of time in? Because we talk about investments in a monetary sense. We talk about purchases. We talk about this and that. But the number one deciding factor for how successful you're going to be financially is, who do you choose as a partner? Does this person, because there's nothing more expensive than divorce. There's literally no idea, philosophy, like drug addiction, that is more expensive than marrying the wrong person and having children with the wrong person. Because what happens, a lot of my clients, they'll get into relationships with people, they'll have children with people. They were not the right person. They didn't do enough self-reflection. And now they're fighting legal battles. Now they're losing half of their assets. Now they're paying child support. And now they have to work just to be able to keep their head above water, not to work for abundance. So quite literally, the most expensive mistake that you could make is marrying the wrong person. And for me, my metrics for somebody that I could see myself committing my life to is, number one, do they inspire me to become a better man? Do I feel like that person fuels me to make more money, create bigger impact, be more of the man that I know that I am internally? Do they drive potential? And there's a difference between a woman that's good to you and a woman that's good for you. A woman that's good to you will suck your dick, rub your belly, feed you food, and then just be complacent with laying in bed and watching Netflix all day. She's good to you. You have a great time together. But what you'll find is that time compounds habits. And if you continue on this path as somebody, it's kind of like, the difference between here on a straight line and here in like a 5-degree angle might be so small at the beginning. But if you look at 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, a lifetime, that 5-degree angle of change makes a world of difference in the place that you're going. So for me, one of the big priorities for myself is like, does this person fuel me? Do I feel like I can do more with this person, or do I feel like I can get away with less?
Yeah, I feel like it's like not sounding woo-woo here, but it's like an energy reader. It's like you can feel, like I've gone on dates and I could feel it within 5 seconds. Like a stressful energy, a nice soothing energy. And some guys, they want a stressful energy because that may be their energy. I don't know, right? But like I feel like that's kind of how I measure it. I'm like, okay, the first kind of thing is like, what energy can I feel here that I could be satisfied with for the rest of my life or not? And if it's not yes, obviously, then, I'm not going to come to a conclusion, but I would just keep that in the back of my mind as I'm carrying the date on. So based on like with men who are not feeling confident when they're approaching women, what do you think is like, I don't know, like the best time of their life to do this with where they're at? Is it when they're successful? Is it when they're trying to be successful? Is it when they're not? Because I don't think there's ever a perfect time, but I say this because I think a lot of men cannot have their confidence because they may not know what they want. One of the biggest things that creates a man's happiness is like knowing what he wants. And a lot of guys don't know that. Because if you take a woman away, if he knows what he wants and he's truly fulfilled, it's a lot more difficult for him to be stuck into this breakup. He can move on from it faster. But if a man doesn't know what that is right now, is it not the right time for him to approach, or is it, or is that just part of the journey?
It's a great question. So I recently just turned 30, like less than a month ago.
Okay, nice.
And being able to reflect on my 20s, I built up really great social skills, especially in the flirtation and the ability to date. But I wasn't emotionally ready to really have a committed relationship. But in my relationships, I ended up cheating. I ended up being, infidelis and not being the person or the man that I needed to be for that relationship. So for different stages of people's lives, I give different advice. Like looking back on my 20s, I really, really, really wish that I had focused, and I would recommend for men that are just turning 20 to focus on building skills. Not necessarily focusing on making money, not really focusing on hooking up with as much women as possible, not really focusing on getting the best bodies possible, but building the skills that make that obtainment sustainable.
Yeah.
It's like, because if my goal was to make as much money as possible, in a short period of time, I'd go scam. I'd like we've seen so many people do crypto pump and dumps,
Yeah.
but it's not sustainable. You can't you one crypto scam, two crypto scams, and your reputation's done. It doesn't matter how many followers you have because you have no trust. You're in a bank account that has no balance. And if it was to hook up with as many women as possible, okay, well, I mean, there's a crackhead behind 7-Eleven that will have sex with me. I can go to a brothel. Like, so the end result is not the goal for, I would say, younger men, but the ability to be able to fish. It's like now with where I'm at with my business and my mindset, I feel very comfortable with my ability to coach men to be able to get them in a place where they feel worthy of having a really good relationship and being able to walk up and approach women that they have never met before. And now that I have that ability to be able to coach and transform people's lives, my financial stress has dropped tremendously because I know that my line of trajectory has gone like this because I've crafted that skill. So when men are in the stage of their life and they're looking for a woman, I really want them to understand what it is that you can do for yourself. What it is it that you can do for yourself? Because a lot of men will sometimes get into relationships with a woman that's more financially successful for them, and they'll use that as like, okay, I'm successful because I'm attached to a successful woman. But then they themselves are not successful. They're just around success. They don't have the skills necessary. It's like, or you could slam steroids. It's like, okay, is that sustainable?
Yeah.
Is that actual health? You look great, but how's the internal mechanism of your body? How's your liver function? Did you build up skills and understanding that allows you to be successful 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line? And what a lot of men will do is that they'll, instead of building a base of a building, they'll go ahead and build the building as high as they can, as fast as they can, and it's on a wavy foundation. And then earthquake happens, natural event, wind, tornado, and it knocks it down. It's like, okay, you had the car, but you had no financial stability to be able to afford the car. You just were able to put your name on a dotted line and get a financing agreement for it. That's not sustainable. Okay, you were able to get the beautiful woman, but you didn't have the emotional backing, the masculine frame, the financial resources, and able to keep her. So I would argue it's even worse than to have it early and then to lose it than to take time to build up what is necessary internally so that you're okay with or without it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I mean, you're so right about the social skills. I think if you take an attractive looking dude with little to no social skills, and then a dude who's maybe not the most attractive, but heavily high quality social skills, that one is just an energy that I think women are more attracted to and more keen on hearing from than obviously the opposite. And I think a lot of the teachings and stuff like that that are going around within the dating world is what's the best script, and it's just, it's too generic. But I like what you were saying about the social skills piece. So how have you grown? Like where did you ever have a time where you weren't socially? I mean, I feel like you have some of it naturally. I can tell based on your personality, but obviously it's still a skill, right? Like it still is something that's developed. So like for people who are thinking like I have no social skills at all, or that's not me, their perceived reality, like how does that work?
Yeah, and it's something, it's a skill. And I'm glad that you said that, because if somebody says that person's charismatic, I'm not charismatic, I just ask, what is that person doing that makes them charismatic? And you can break it down into soft skills. Alex Ramosi talks about this.
Yeah.
It's like they acknowledge people when they walk into a room. They make eye contact. They nod along and listen to what the person is saying. They shake hands and they remember people's names. If you do those 5-6 things, people are going to describe you as charismatic, even if you don't internally feel charismatic. And for the man that, because a lot of my clients are really good looking men, handsome looking men, but they don't have the social skills or the identity that they're somebody that is social to be able to use these skills. And I got into the trap earlier in my 20s where I thought, okay, it's better to have 100 women that will go 10% with you, sexual, first date, X, Y, and Z, than it is to have 10 women that will go 100 with you. It's like quantity, quantity, quantity. And there is a quality of quantity in itself. You do build a skill set being able to navigate the social relationships of 100 different people. But looking back on it, like how many people did I have sex with that I actually truly enjoyed and I could call today and have an emotional conversation with, not in a sexual sense, but just like, hey, I'm so thankful that we were alive at the same time and we got to share the memories that we do. The list isn't very large. It's a handful of women that I can, I'm grateful that I have the relationships with today. I think the big thing for men that want to be able to develop the social skills is taking a hard look at the environment that you're in. I was thankful enough to be in an environment where my mom was a social person, but that was something that I had to develop being around her. I remember standing in line at the grocery store with her one day when I was maybe 11 or 12. And she turns around and starts talking to the person in line behind us. And I remember just freezing up. Like, this person's a stranger. You don't know this person. What are you doing talking to this person? And now my entire life is talking to strangers, essentially. So it's so funny how that comes full circle. But taking a look at your environment, I talked about this on my group call with my students today. It's what we feed our minds becomes the seeds in our mind, and they spread to our heart. And that heart fruit is what we eat and what we consume, and it's a continuous loop. So if I'm spending time around people that are not social, if I'm spending around time in an environment that's not social, if I'm spending time around an environment that doesn't proclaim talking to people, meeting new people is something that's worthy ideal, the chances of me developing that are slim to none. Because I can take one step forward. It's like trying to walk into the ocean. I can take one step forward, but if the waves are too powerful in the opposite direction, I'm not going to be able to get past the shoreline. I'm never going to make progress because there's so many outside environmental factors that are pushing me back. And you've probably heard about the Miami effect, where guys go to Miami, they see all of this opulence and abundance around them, and they start hustling. They're like, "Fuck, I got to get to it," yeah. And it's a real thing. So if you're a guy that doesn't identify themselves as social, the best thing that you can do is get outside of your room. First and foremost, get outside of your apartment, because women don't spawn there. Like,
they ain't knocking on your door.
It's like, oh,
I wish.
Hey, Tommy,
you there?
Hey, I heard you got a car. Like, we came over looking for you. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So some of those environments that really allowed me to develop my social skills were sales settings. Like, I was really decent at talking to people. In high school, I was outgoing, but I didn't understand the concept of developing depth in our relationships and developing real connections, and the ability to kind of guide a conversation in the way that I saw it fit for a win-win situation for both people. The way that really developed and really magnified was doing door-to-door sales.
Oh yeah, game changer.
Have you knocked the door before?
I've not done door-to-door sales, but I've done sales in my business for like years and years, and it's through outreach.
Yeah,
and it's constant conversations of rejections. Who the hell are you? Why are you messaging me? But then again, every 1 out of 10 turns into something that's life-changing for everybody. And so too many times people take a rejection and turn that into, oh, they didn't like me. Well, they're right. People listen more to the rejection than they do the ones who have accepted them. So yeah, I mean, door-to-door sales are no joke.
I'll tell you a great story. When I first got into door-to-door sales, I was able to knock doors with an absolute legend in the space. His name is Adam Webb. He was selling Vivint alarms at the time. He might still be with Vivint. I'm not sure. But what I watched him do when I was first knocking, I would knock on 100 doors and maybe have 5 or 10 conversations, and if I was lucky, get a sale. When I was able to knock with him, I saw him drive around a neighborhood, choose 3 doors, and get 2 sales. But he had to knock thousands upon thousands upon thousands of doors to be able to best identify which are going to be likely to be customers for his product.
Yeah.
And he only got to that point through the mud of knocking on so many doors. And what I want to encourage the guys out there is like, hey man, you might be knocking on thousands of doors today, but it's not always going to be like that, because we as human beings that have allowed us to evolve to this point is this thing called pattern recognition. Yeah. We can take data and we can start to see patterns in between it. Okay. One thing that, anybody watching this at home knows, for me personally, if I see a Chrysler 300 in front of the house with a little bit faded paint, they're a renter. Like, that's out of 100 doors that I've knocked on with that specific car and that specific paint, 100 times out of 100, that person is renting the house, and they're not going to be a prospect for me because they don't have the pre-requirements to be able to sign a loan for solar on their house. So what does that do? It just means that I don't knock on doors with a Chrysler 300.
Don't waste your time.
It's going to waste my time. But I had to knock on 100 doors with Chrysler 300s to test the theory, to be able to then go ahead and say, okay, this is a pattern here. And what happens for a lot of men, especially when it comes to approaching women, they have their data pool of how many women they've talked to and the amount of connections that they made is so small. I'll ask a man, in the last month, how many women have you approached? I've approached 3. 3? In the last 30 days? So you're telling me once every 10 days you go and you talk to someone? Once every 10 days? I can go talk to 3 women in the next 15 minutes. So you're telling me that my rate of growth is so much exponentially greater than yours If you're talking to 3 women every month, I'm talking to 3 women every 15 minutes. Call it I talk to 3 women a day, and there's one person that talks to 3 women a month. My rate of growth is 30 times greater than theirs. My data collection and my pattern recognition is 30 times greater than theirs. And then think about this too. We're not considering compounding effects in that. It's if you gave somebody 24 hours to learn how to play basketball, and you give another person 24 hours to play basketball, and you said, you're going to play 24 hours in one day, you're going to get a little bit better at basketball.
Yeah.
But if you say 24 hours over 24 days, that person that played an hour every single day for 24 days is going to become exponentially better. Not 24 times, maybe 240 times better, because they gave their mind that space and the grace to be able to process the data and see, okay, when I flick my wrist like this. But when you're in the moment and you're not giving yourself the separation and the reflection to be able to go back, like, you're only going to grow so much. If you overwater a plant, you're going to drown it.
Yeah, people think that they look at it didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course it didn't work. I mean, that's what's literally supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. Okay, then now let's look at why did it not work? But they don't have the patience to look at why it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And if you don't switch your mind to that, you're just going to keep running in loops over and over and over again. And this is why I think people never really find out what they want in life, is because they have the mentality of, it didn't work, start over. It didn't work, start over. And it's just constant looping. But they say that the most successful people, they have their emotions. They don't go too high and they don't go too low. Mm-hmm. So Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, their news, he lost $2 billion. He's not going like this and thinking the world's over. His emotions are like, oh, darn it. And then it's like, oh, made $2 billion. Okay, cool. Right? It's just very neutral, right? Because he's analyzing what's happening on a day-to-day basis rather than getting in his head that the world's over and it didn't work. They did a very interesting study, back to what you were saying about the people that you're around. Harvard studied 12,000 people for 30 years, and they found that your best friend has a higher chance of making you fat than your own worst enemy. So if your best friend is fat, it increases your chance of becoming fat by 57%. If they get a divorce, that increases your chances of divorce by 75%. And if they're depressed, that increases by 93%. And the scariest part is that those people, their friends of friends of friends, those results of them is affecting you, and you don't even know who those people are. And that is the scary world of you genuinely become who you're around. Mm-hmm. And now when you look at the guys who may not have the confidence, there are a lot of guys who don't have friends because they're thinking, well, Tristan, I want a woman, but I'm so busy with work. I'm so busy with my business. I have to become successful, which is understandable. But then Tristan, I have to go, get girls. And they don't have friends. And I think there's a big plague right now of men not having true friends because they're focused on one or the other. So how is this solvable? What's a plan of action on that?
Well, I've been on the extremes of all sides. I've been on the extremes of let me just focus extremely on making money. Let me focus on extremely getting girls. And what I found made me the happiest is when I got a good group of guys around me that I could trust and that I could express my emotions to. And I have a group of guys that I meet with every Wednesday. Shout out to the Intuitive Nomad, Brendan, Sam, Zuri, Ryan. I love you guys. But we've been meeting every Wednesday for an hour. Doesn't matter. We're all over different parts of the world. Two of us are in Southeast Asia. One of us in Mexico. One of us is in Argentina. The other one's in Canada. Doesn't matter where in the world we are.
Brendan Myers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good.
You know Brendan?
Bro, he stayed with me in Austin for a while. And we met up in Mexico and Austin. Yeah, Brendan's a great friend of mine.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
That's my boy. I meet with him every Wednesday. Wednesday. It's fantastic having him as a friend to be able to reflect and for them to see your growth as a human being. And the thing is that I find is men these days, because they're so focused on hookups, they're so focused on short-term relationships, they're so focused on career, that friendships get put on the back burner. And the amount of stability that I've gotten from meeting up with a group of guys every single time at the same place on Zoom every week for over close to 3 years now. Oh my goodness. It's been fantastic to have that support system. And to speak on the best friend effect that you had. Like if your best friend is this, and this, what happens, we as human beings, when we get around somebody that we're close to, our energy levels become on the same frequency. And on a biological sense, when you become in the same room with your partner comes home from work, you guys regulate each other's body temperature as well as your heart rate. So you are and that person's heart are beating at the same rate in the same room, and your energetic frequencies are matching at that same place. If that person comes home stressed, guess what happens?
Give it to you.
They're giving it to you. If that person comes home depressed, guess what? Guess what happens?
It's given to you.
Time and time and time again. It's kind of like you have two sticks of metronome and you bang them at the same time, and they're like out of sync for a while, and then because they're in close proximity, they start to vibrate at the same rate. Human beings are no different.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like there's people who can be addicted to bad news. It's like an energy that's fed to them. They get a dopamine hit of news came out that blank, 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 blank. And then immediately they have a decision to make. What do they think of this? Well, I think this. And so that gives them a dopamine hit of kind of some power, some like superiority within a quick moment to decide on what their thoughts are about it. And so then what happens is they become slowly addicted to this sort of quick dopamine hit of superiority based on a news that has been given to them. And then what happens over time is this is why they then love bad news. They don't want to verbally say it, but they secretly, consciously, subconsciously love bad news. Then what happens is that energy that they're fed from the bad news is now like fed to other people. And then it like affects their entire life overall, but they don't even know it. And so this whole bad news feed that they're getting from Fox News, CNN is literally stuck within them. And then it hurts their relationships. It hurts the friendships because that energy of bad news, however you want to interpret it, whether it's depressing or it's drama or it's just so intense, it's fed to other people. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen stuff like that, but like there's people who have certain addictions of things that you would just never think that people would be addicted to. It's like scary in a way.
It's America. Like
it's crazy.
Crazy enough to say. It's when I moved out of the United States to Mexico in 2020, I got disconnected. Like even if you're not actively consuming it, when you go into restaurants, you go into businesses and you see CNN or MSNBC on the TV and the headlines and the way that they have their color scheme set up and the way that they present the news, it's very methodical. These are billion-dollar corporations, and they want you to have that addiction to come back again and again and again. And what they do is they program you to their way of thinking. You can have the same social issue, just depending on if it was from the blue MSNBC or from the red CNN. The way that people think about it is so correlated to where they receive the news source from. And when I was able to disconnect from that and be able to look and just see it from the outside sense, like when I would come back to the United States and see that, it's disgusting.
It's insane.
It's rotten. And I don't want to, just harp on it, but like when you separate yourself from that anxiety strike that when bad news comes, and then when you re-expose yourself to it, you're like, that's disgusting. But what happens is in life, in people, there's a quote: the first time that we see crime, we're abhorrent to it. This is the worst thing ever. The third time we see crime, it's still terrible. The fifth time we see crime, it's more normal. The 100th time we see crime, it's life. We have to keep moving. And then it's like, okay, you keep on going down the depths of normalcy. And whatever you don't abhor, you become normal to. Whatever you don't hate, whatever you don't just reject, that becomes your new level of living. And like when you first, bad news, it's, oh, gross. Second time, oh. Fifth time, what's going on with the bad news? Tell me about this bad news. And it takes a separation from that. It takes a separation from your environment to be able to look at it. Like you can't see the forest from the trees when you're inside of it. And when you can elevate and look around, but I never realized the subconscious pattern of power that you brought up. Like when, I get to decide how I feel about this. Yeah. I never thought about it like that, but that's so powerful. Thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like it's because everybody wants to feel a power. They want to feel by having power, you feel like you're valuable, or you feel like you're loved, whether it's actual love or not. And so that's why if you look at the example of social media accounts that talk about divorce or relationships, the reason why this is such an interesting topic as well, and everybody wants to chime in, is because everybody wants to give their viewpoint. a divorce just happened because of one decision that this man made, and he should have not done this. And now a lawsuit's coming out. And so everyone's, keen, and they're going to sit there and say, okay, well, here's what I think. I think that he should be put into jail and blah, 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 blah. No, I think it was this and this and that. And so everybody just wants to go in because, again, that is their one feeling of feeling valuable. It's the same thing with social media hate, right? If it's easier for me to, hate on your content and get 500 likes from my comment by hating on you, I'm like, whoa, 500 people like me. Okay, well, this is amazing. But if I left a post or a comment and said, Tristan, your content's great, I'm going to get 1 like. So it's easier for me to now do this. And I'm like, well, I think I'm onto something here. And now I know people like me a lot. And that's obviously where they feel a power, whether it's good or bad.
I think that there's one place in the world where you shouldn't get news from, and it's the comment section on an Instagram post. Like the barrier for entry for anybody to be able to post whatever they want there, it is so low.
It's insane.
And this is what happened with cancel culture. A lot of people don't know, but pickup was having a surge in the United States, like early 2000s, early 2010s. But when the Me Too movement happened, there was a member of the pickup community. I can't remember his exact name. I don't want to say Tyler Durden. It might have been RSD Tyler, but he went on CNN or one of the news networks, and I think it was RSD Tyler. No, it's Owen Cook.
Sounds familiar.
But one of the RSD guys, Real Social Dynamics, went on CNN and they just lambasted him. Just like, you're a manipulator, you're a terrible person, and like he wasn't prepared enough for the conversation. And the social times were completely different at this time, so it just gave pickup like a terrible viewpoint. And then after that point, the social media networks, YouTube, Instagram, what it was at that time, Twitter, what it was at that time, started to shut people's accounts down, especially YouTube. Like, we're going to censor this information for the world. So what had happened was, now that there's this perception of pickup, now there's a perception of cold approach, and there's this like negative association with it. Oh, I can't do that. And then, I don't want to be labeled a creep. Can't be labeled a creep. So I'm just going to go ahead and only approach people that are friends of friends, and I'm only going to approach people that are looking directly at me, telling me to come over and talk to them and waving at me. And then that turns into a habit, that then turns into behavior, that turns into a personality, and then that becomes their life.
Yeah, it's like it's what they're stuck in forever. Well, one last question. What was your biggest heartbreak in your worst dating story?
I mean, my biggest heartbreak came at the hands of me breaking other people's hearts.
Oof.
Because I didn't understand the power that I had as a man. And I felt inferior, and I reflected that inferiority onto my partner, whether through cheating, whether through lack of consideration, just not caring about them. So there's a couple girls that I can think of where I really broke their hearts, and because I can handle getting my heart broke, I don't care. I can keep moving forward. But looking back at somebody that trusted me and loved me, and I took their trust and broke it, that's an emotional pain that I wouldn't wish on anybody. Like, I'm going through hypnotherapy now, and that's been revolutionary for me in my healing stage. And I reflect back on those moments, and like, I don't regret anything, but I'm so thankful that I don't have to repeat those patterns and repeat that pain that was instilled in me from somebody else, whether it be childhood trauma or a situation that happened. How it got there is not important. It's just stopping the cycle that's more important.
Man, respect. Yeah, the fact that you're like expressing that is like, there's no ego there. A lot of guys don't ever express that. And yeah, I mean, my most difficult one was, I had a girlfriend from high school through college, and when I was diagnosed with brain cancer, she left me in the middle of chemotherapy, radiation. Never heard from her again. That was it. Done. Gone. But it really, really messed me up. But then it like really reshaped me, right? Because I had to like let go of my ego and understand, like, okay, this is a time to recreate 2.0, and like, you can't live in it. I think too many guys can like live in it and take it way too personal. And I did that for a long time, is I took that heartbreak as if it defined me. I'm not good enough. Like, this and this and this, right? Every woman's going to think of me like that because of how she did. And that's not the case, But thank you so much. What's your Instagram again?
Tristan Social. If they want
Tristan Social.
Instagram, YouTube, they want to find me on anywhere. Reach out to me for coaching. I'm happy to help. Tristan Social, and let me return the favor to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to invite you onto my podcast.
Okay, yeah.
And be the one to ask the questions.
Amazing.
This was a fantastic
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, dude. Well, we'll have to do more of these. So cheers.
No, the pleasure was mine, man.
Oh,
The pleasure
man.
was mine. Leonard.
Cool.